Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. These appearance days and disappearance days of Acharyas are an opportunity for all of us to express our gratitude to all of them. See, one of the important element in Krishna consciousness is our attachment to spiritual personalities. Because till now, from time immemorial, we have been attached to so many different personalities on the material platform. And therefore, we are in this material world successfully lifetime after lifetime. In this life, when we get an opportunity to practice bhakti, there should be this development or cultivation of attachment to spiritual personalities. And who else can be more great than our parampara acharyas whom we can get attached to? In fact, all of us should have at least one personality whom we are very attached to. Any spiritual personality, our Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, or Acharya Srila Prabhupada. In our Sampradaya, we have these great Acharyas. And if someone can cultivate the attachment for all these personalities in our parampara, that's a great success. You know what? We can connect with, it's very difficult to connect with the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Very difficult. Therefore, it is said that anyone who reads the intimate pastimes of the conjugal pastimes of Radha and Krishna, so instead of advancing in bhakti, their bhakti will get destroyed. Level in, we don't have that level. What to do? We are not pure. But then these acharyas, when they perform their pastimes, we can connect because that's a humanly pastime that is happening, and we can connect and we can learn a lot of things, from their devotional service. Srila Prabhupada, when he would be glorified by his disciples, Prabhupada, you're so great. You have done this massive Herculean task of spreading Krishna consciousness everywhere. And Prabhupada would say, no, I am not great. My spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura is great. And then he will give logic also for that. It's not just a dialogue. And Prabhupada gives the logic. I tried my best to establish one center in India, I couldn't. League of Devotees flopped. But look at my spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He established 64 Gaudiya Maths. He is great. I had to come out of India to establish centers. But look at my spiritual master. He did that in India itself. He began in India. And every now and then, whenever Prabhupada would be glorified, Prabhupada always offered all the glories to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He always said, my Guru is great. Because of him. Whatever is happening is because of him. And if any credit I have to take, I am presenting the message as it is. This is the only credit that I take for myself. When we hear more and more about these acharyas, naturally we'll develop attachment for them. The problem is we don't hear. When we don't hear about them, when we don't read about them, we don't know. You see, any devotee for that matter, in general also, say someone comes to a center and we don't know that person, we have not heard about him, we have not seen him, and say that person sits on the Vyasasana. Now we all might be wondering, oh, who is this person? Oh, pata nahi kaisa class dega, pata nahi usko aata bhi hai, kuch nahi. And then there's an introduction that is given about the person. So Prabhuji is practicing bhakti from last 3 decades. 3 decades. He's very good at reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. He is known for his discourses on so and so topics. He's been giving discourses and preaching in so and so countries. And then automatically ears become straight. We become alert. Isko aata hai. Isko aata hai, mujhe nahi aata, mujhe sunna chahiye. Naturally, this is what is human mentality. You know what is our mentality? Either we'll put someone at the level of Krishna, or second is below us. There is nothing in between. There's nothing in between. Therefore, at least, we should, when we read about these personalities, when we hear about these personalities, especially on these occasions, and when we understand their glories, naturally we become very attached to them first. Second, we will become very confident and proud of our parampara, that I belong to a very glorious parampara. And third, this will help us to implement their instructions in our day-to-day life, because they are great. This we have realized. So it's very natural that we accept instructions from great personalities and we implement in our day-to-day life. Today we'll just discuss a small part of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's life. Before 17 years or 17 years of age, till 17 years of age, what all Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did. So this is what is the discussion that we'll have now. And through this we'll easily able to understand how their childhood was a pastime and our childhood was a time pass. At least when I was reading about him from the book by His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj, I was literally feeling what I did in my childhood. Literally time pass. And when I was making notes, I made it sure that I make the notes in such a way that at this year, what Saraswati Thakur did, in this year, what Saraswati Thakur did. So I'll try to present that. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he appeared in 1838. And when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared, at that time, Gaudiya Vaishnavas didn't have any good image in the society. Because when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disappeared, the 6 Goswamis were there, they disappeared, then came the trio, Narottam Das, Shyamananda and Srinivas. They did various activities, they disappeared, there was a gap. After that we had Baldev Vidyabhushan, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. After that again there was a gap. And when this gap was formed, whenever there is stalwart Acharya, and after that, after their disappearance, when there is a gap, so what happens is, naturally there is deviation that happens. Even we also face this in ISKCON. When Srila Prabhupada disappeared, there was a huge dip that ISKCON had to go through. All glories to all those wonderful sannyasis, all the wonderful spiritual masters who held ISKCON together at that time. We are very, very grateful to them. Because of them, today ISKCON is there. So, when these great personalities disappeared, so at that time there was a gap, and naturally deviation comes. And in that deviation, what happened is, in the name of being a Gaudiya Vaishnav, in the name of Upasaka of Madhurya Rasa, they started doing illicit sex. And these personalities were the deviants. And they would enact the pastimes of Krishna. Doing time pass, they were enacting the pastimes of Krishna, saying they are also doing Rasa Leela. There were personalities who were claiming themselves to be Krishna, claiming themselves to be Gauranga, claiming themselves to be wife of Gauranga, etc., etc. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he appeared, the situation was so pathetic. If you say, I am a Gaudiya Vaishnava, people will spit at you. That was the situation at that time. Pathetic situation. Means you are a pure Vaishnava, say, and you're chanting the holy names, you're keeping your vows very clear and everything, but still when people point at you, saying you're a fallen soul, it becomes very difficult to accept. And during Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time, since all these upper sampradayas were coming into picture, nice Vaishnavas who are very sincere, very pure, they would be there in their own quarters doing devotional service. They said, why to go and associate with these people? Better we remain in our own bhajan kutir and we don't go out and preach. But this pillar of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, couldn't tolerate this. He couldn't. And he started going against all these different upper sampradayas. And first thing that Bhaktivinoda Thakur did is, technically he categorized how many upper sampradayas are there. And he listed down 13 upper sampradayas, which description. I'll just name them for our purification. So 13 upper sampradayas, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he names. Even Prabhupada, he quotes this in various lectures also. Aul, Baul, Karta Bhaja, Neda, then Daravesha, Shani, Sahajiya. So Sahajiya is just one of the 13, which we talk about. But when we say Sahajiya, we talk about all the 13. Yeah. Sakhi Beki, Smarta, Jata Gosai, Ativadi, Chudadhari, and Gauranga Nagari. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was a great personality when it comes to his profession, and a very great personality when it comes to being a grihastha. Sometimes, when our devotees are getting married, we tell them you should become like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bro, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, main idhar, wo. It's very difficult. Because Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it's very difficult to comprehend his schedule only. Every evening he'll return home from his work, he'll rest at 8 o'clock, get up at 12 o'clock, and then he'll start writing books. Following the footsteps of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, our Prabhupada also did the same. But since Prabhupada had less time, he slept at 10, got up at 12. And hundreds of books were written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Hundreds of books. And his meal was also little. If you read his diet, very little. Bananas, half quarter milk, chapatis, different times of the days. Different times of the day. And he wrote 100 books, not just in one language. He wrote it in Sanskrit, Bengali, English. In this way, he was instrumental in various different services in the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And one of the important things that Bhaktivinoda Thakur did was reviving or restoring the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So today, if we have Yoga Peeth, we go there, take darshan of that tree and do parikrama. It's by the mercy of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur always longed for something. He dreamed of something which people in general at that time felt this is hallucination. I'll just read out verbatim what was his dream and what was he longing for. This is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur's feelings are. Very soon the unparalleled path of Harinam Sankirtan will be propagated all over the planet. Oh, for that day when the fortunate English, French, Russian, Persian, American people will take up banners, mridangas and kartals and perform kirtan through their streets and towns. When will that day come? Oh, for the day when the western fair-skinned men from one side, while chanting Jai Satchinandana, Jai Satchinandana, Jai Satchinandana ki Jai, will extend their arms and embracing the devotees of our country, coming from another side, treat us with brotherly feelings. When will that day come? On such a day, they will say, our dear Aryan brothers, we have taken shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, who is the ocean of transcendental love. Kindly embrace us. When will that day come? That day. That day will witness the holy transcendental Vaishnav Prem to be the only dharma. And like rivers meeting the ocean, all narrow creeds will mix with the unlimited Vaishnav dharma. When will that day come? And this day, our Srila Prabhupada made it true. He got all the people from all around the world in the same place, that is Navadvip Dham, where all these different people from different countries, different continents are now coming together. It is a flood during Gaur Purnima, everyone chanting Jai Satchinandana Gaura Hari, Jai Satchinandana Gaura Hari. This is our parampara, where these acharyas, they have a unique, amazing, uncomprehendable dream and desire. And they tell this, and the future acharyas make their life and soul as this particular dream and execute that. This is what we will see throughout the parampara. Throughout the parampara. Every devotee lives for the pleasure of the predecessors, acharyas. They don't have anything of their own. That makes them special. That makes them special. Therefore, in even our life also, one thing we have to ask always, whom am I living this life for? And if the answer is myself and my family, then we have to ask this question, am I really a Gaudiya Vaishnava? Is Gaudiya Vaishnavas have this mood? They are living for previous acharyas. They want to fulfill what previous acharyas wanted. They want to slog for it. They want to give the life for it. They want to melt while doing this service. And this is what we saw. That's what Srila Prabhupada did. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur had this dream. And at that time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was in Jagannath Puri. He was posted in Jagannath Puri. So Lord Jagannath one day appeared in the dream of Bhaktivinoda Thakur And Jagannath is telling Bhaktivinoda Thakur. These acharyas have tough time because God directly comes and speaks. Jagannath is saying, I didn't bring you to Puri to execute legal matters, but to establish Vaishnav Siddhanta. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur has his argument. He is saying, your teachings have been significantly depreciated, and I lack the power to restore them. Much of life has already passed, and I am otherwise engaged. So please send somebody from your personal staff so that I can start this movement. Our Acharya is also unique. If Lord is telling, then you send someone, then we will do. And then Lord Jagannath, he directed Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He said, go and pray to Bimala Devi. So Bimala Devi is Yogamaya potency of the Lord. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared by the intense prayers of Advaita Acharya. Similarly, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur appeared by the intense prayers of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. In fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's grandfather, when he was on his deathbed, at that time, he predicted, looking at Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that in your house, a great sadhu will appear. And this extraordinary sadhu will do extraordinary activities for the entire Vaishnava Samaj. This was the prediction that was given. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was staying in Jagannath Puri. Even today we have that mutt, where the house of Bhaktivinoda Thakur was there. So he was staying in a rented house at that time. And this house is just a little distance, from the main temple, the Sri Mandir, that's Jagannath Mandir. And his house was always saturated with kirtan. And it is described in this entire setup, in the Acharya's house. Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself is an Acharya. In this wonderful place of Jagannath Puri, when wonderful kirtan is happening at home, where Bhagavati Devi, the wife of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, she is completely immersed in Krishna consciousness. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is immersed in Krishna consciousness, intensely praying to the Lord, oh Lord, you send someone from your own staff to help me. At that time, on 6th February 1874, this great personality, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, appeared at 3:30 p.m. This was Govinda Mas in our Vaishnava calendar, or Magha Mas in other calendars. So in this way we see that this great personality appeared. And when this great personality appeared, astrologers were called. And the astrologers, looking at this great personality, they told he is a great personality. And they said that he is a Mahapurusha. How do we make out who is Mahapurusha? There are 32 symptoms of the bodily features by which one can make out is a Mahapurusha. And this astrologer made a statement that I have made many horoscopes in my life of many people, but I have never found any person till date who has got all the 32 symptoms of a Mahapurusha. This great personality will become famous as a world teacher of the ultimate goal of life. This was the prediction that was given. So in this way we see the astrologers made the prediction. The grandfather of Bhaktivinoda Thakur made a prediction. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur had two wives. The first one, her name was Shayamani Devi. She gave birth to the first child and she left the body. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to marry the second one, that is Bhagavati Devi. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur fathered 13 children, out of which, if I'm not wrong, 1 or 2 left their body after birth. And that's why we say 10 children of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, right? So considering all the 13 children, so this great personality, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati, was the 6th child in line, 6th child. And since Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati appeared, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur offered prayers to Bimala Devi, he was named as Bimala Prasad. And प्यार से घर पे उनको बुलाते थे बिम्मू, बिन्नू. Bhakti Vikas Maharaj writes in the book, Bimmu. Let's discuss something about his childhood now. When Bimmu was just 5 months old, So at that time, a very, very amazing incident happened by which Bhaktivinoda Thakur could make out he is that personality whom Jagannath has sent. This is a famous incident of Jagannath Rath Yatra. So it is described during that time, Jagannath Rath Yatra would get completed in one day. But this particular year, another thing which I would like to, a statement which I would like to make here, or an information, since Bhaktivinoda Thakur was there in Jagannath Puri as district magistrate, he did a lot of reformation in Jagannath Puri. Because there also a lot of deviations happened. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur re-established the principles, re-established the standards of worship in the temple. And he was very dear to people there as well. So Jagannath Rath Yatra is going on, and it comes and Rath comes and stops at the house of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Now it's not for 1 hour, 2 hours. It's for 3 full days. The Rath has stopped in front of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur and the other devotees now they are in ecstasy. And in ecstasy they are doing Hare Krishna Mahamantra Kirtan. And the entire Kirtan was done only for the pleasure of Jagannath. So that time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur indicated Bhagavati Devi that it's a great opportunity. Why don't we take our Bimmu for taking darshan and getting blessings? So at that time, Bhagavati Devi, she gave the child, and the child was kept at near Jagannath. And the description says that immediately this small baby, just 5 months old, immediately caught hold of the feet of Jagannath. And when that happened, the garland of Jagannath fell on this great personality, Bimal Prasad. And at that time, looking at this great incident, our Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he understood he is that personality whom Jagannath has sent. And it is also described at some place, I couldn't get the reference, but I've heard this, that when Bimal Prasad, when he appeared, his umbilical cord was around his body, like a janev, like a thread. I also heard at another place that even today, in the Madhva line, the Madhvas in Udupi, they have this tradition that who will become the Acharya, who will become the great saint, they see that by the umbilical cord. Is it like the Brahman thread when he's coming out? So you can imagine another great, symptom of a great personality. And same day, his Annaprashan also happened. And the Annaprashan happened with Jagannath Prasad. And there's a traditional ceremony in Bengal and in other places also, where the child is kept and multiple things are kept around. So some rice stack is kept, and then money is kept, scriptures are kept. And when Bimal Prasad was left, go and catch. So like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even our Bimal Prasad, he ran towards Bhagavatam and embraced Bhagavatam. And just looking at that, all the devotees in the house, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, he's going to become a great personality, a great devotee. And by this, it was a confirmation for Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Yes, he is that personality who is sent by the Lord himself for fulfilling the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sometimes when I tell our Grihastha devotees that, Prabhu, your child is so wonderful. He's doing so many nice activities, very attracted towards the Lord. Prabhu ji, रुकिए आगे देखते क्या होता है. आगे कुछ भरोसा नहीं है प्रभु. Association can change. So in this way, our great Bimal Prasad, he appeared. So he was there in Jagannath Puri for some time. And when he was 10 months old, so at that time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur with his wife, they shifted, to Nadia district. And when he was just less than 4 years, this very wonderful incident happened, which shows that he is an Acharya who does prachar through his achar. And it's a famous pastime of mango, where Bhaktivinoda Thakur was given some mangoes by some guest, and the mangoes were kept. Less than 4-year baby goes and eats the mango. So Bimal Prasad was just less than 4 years. He goes and eats the mango. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, strict Vaishnava father, he looks at Bimal Prasad and mildly he says that all the food is to be enjoyed by the Lord. Nothing should be taken unless first offered to Krishna. you have done a serious offense. अभी 4 years मतलब कितना होगा मतलब? He took a vow that since I have committed this offense, I will never eat mango. अब बताइए कितने बार हमने unoffered चीजें खाई है? What are the unoffered things that we have eaten? If you make a list, I think only thing that will remain is water to drink. If you consider water also as unoffered, I think you have to do nirjala and die. Look at this. This is called as Acharya. And it is described, he followed this till the end of his life. And at times, when his disciples in the Gaudiya Mutt would come and offer mangoes to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would say, I'm an offender. I cannot take this fruit. I'm an offender at the lotus feet of Jagannath. Can you imagine? In this way, these great personalities, they establish high standards. And not just he would say that I'm an offender, he would give a Shastric reference for that, chanting, Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita magrida kasya svidanam. Isopanishad Shloka 1, Mantra 1. Where he says, everything belongs to the Lord, I am such an offender. I ate something without offering to the Lord. You see, this is one of the principles which Prabhupada repeats again and again in his classes. Chant Hare Krishna and always take prasad. And sincere devotees are the ones who are very fanatic about this. I'll not eat anything which is not offered. And there are even more great fanatic devotees who take water also which is only offered. अब ये तो बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया, but at least anna, grains should be offered. Even in fact, other things also, whatever solid we are taking, or whatever we are taking apart from water, has to be offered. Then only we should accept. At times we get into Sri Vishnu mode. Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu. Yes, that's okay in the urgent situations. But then, whenever we have opportunity, we should make it a point to offer it to the Lord, even if it's fruits or milk. We should try our best to offer. But obviously, if it's apatkal, we are there somewhere in traveling or wherever, then understood how, and devotees guide us how to have prasad by maybe offering mixed tulsi, offered tulsi, or mentally offer it Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu. So in this way, when it comes to these acharyas, they have set an example that what we have to accept is what is offered to Krishna. Otherwise, bhoga is not something that we can accept. When Bimal Prasad was 5 years old, he was admitted in a school called Oriental Seminary in Kolkata. Now try to hear attentively the miraculous scholarly child's activities. When he was 6 years old, so at that time, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, strict Vaishnava father, he got tulsi beads from Jagannath Puri and he gave it to Bimal Prasad, and he said, from today you have to chant every day mandatorily. And he would chant. And at the same time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur initiated him in a Narsimha mantra and asked him to do the worship of Lord Narsimha Dev. And during this time only, when the house construction was going on, which is called as Bhakti Bhavan, which was in Rama Bagan in the neighborhood of Kolkata, there when they were excavating, they got a Kurma Shaligram Shila. And ideally when such things happen, so such Shilas are given to some Brahmanas as charity. But Bimal Prasad showed interest that I want to worship. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave it to him. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur continued worshipping. And when he was asked, no, we are Gaudiya Vaishnavas, why are we worshipping this Kurma Shila? At that time, the esoteric description that Bhaktisiddhanta gives is, Lord Chaitanya in his ecstasy will get into this form of Kurmadev. And I'm not worshipping Kurmadev, I'm worshipping Lord Chaitanya in his ecstatic feature. And that is the Kurma Shila. And from this point onwards, when he was 6 years old, from that point onwards, he would dress himself in proper Vaishnava attire with tilak. And he would be following all the Vaishnava standards which are recommended in the Shastra. He was still very young when he and his father would go to Jagannath temple, take darshan of Jagannath. And there are places where Lord's footprints are there. So looking at those footprints, this 6-year-old boy, he composes 2 Sanskrit verses. which describes Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet. And the gist of this is, Mahaprabhu's heart was so tender in distributing love of Krishna and so distressed at the unhappiness of others that even the stone where he placed his lotus feet became soft and melted with love. This is the translation of his verses. 6 years old boy. 6 years, I think I was struggling to write A. A for apple. Yes. And maybe you were struggling to memorize Johnny, Johnny, yes, Papa. Yes. And here look at him. He is writing 2 verses glorifying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was a voracious reader. Right from that time. And whatever he would read once, he would remember for lifetime. And it is described that when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati was there in his fag end of his life, of his earthly pastimes, when he would be asked about something which he has read 50 years back, he was able to reproduce verbatim as it is, in front of those people who are asking him. 50 years back, what he has read, he was able to reproduce as it is. And even at this age of being 6 years old, when all the kids are busy playing, like Prahlad Maharaj, Saraswati Thakur would never waste time in playing. In all the frivolous activities, never. So I was just thinking that only thing that I knew at this age was just playing. And getting so much of beatings from parents at that time. But look at our Acharya, how great this personality is right from the age of 6. There's no question of play. It's all serious business of devotional service. That's it. Nothing else apart from this. Once what happened is, a Babaji came, to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's place. And he paid obeisance, Bhaktivinoda Thakur paid obeisance, and Bimal Prasad is standing straight. And at that time, this Babaji asked Bhaktivinoda Thakur, why your son is not paying obeisance? So that time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur another level. Very straightforward. He looked at the Babaji and he said, actually he doesn't like Sahajiyas, so he doesn't pay obeisance to Sahajiyas. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he never left any scope of not training his child in Vaishnava Siddhanta. This is called as proper parenting, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur did. Ideal parenting. What would he do? Wherever he would go to give classes, he would take Bimal Prasad with him. Whichever dham he would visit, he will take Bimal Prasad with him. Whenever he would meet sadhus, he will introduce Bimal Prasad and get blessings for him. And right at that age, tender age of 6 years, Bhaktivinoda Thakur would instruct Bimal Prasad in Vaishnava Siddhanta and other doctrines against Vaishnava Siddhanta. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur was very clear that modern materialistic education turns a Jivatma into an ass. He was very clear about this. But still Bhaktivinoda Thakur sent Bimal Prasad to school. And you know what was the thought process behind? The thought process was that in future, he'll be able to preach to the leaders of the society and he'll be able to present the message of Lord Chaitanya the way these people will be able to accept. So he should go to school. He's not sending him to school that in future he'll become a very nice slave in the multinational company. He'll earn very nicely. No. He was very clear. Everything only to mold the child as a Krishna conscious person, as a proper Vaishnav. And this was his parenting. Sometimes I wonder how fortunate these great personalities are. And Prabhupada writes this in the purport to 6th chapter Bhagavad Gita, in one of the shlokas where Suchinam Srimatam Gehe, that verse comes. And there Prabhupada writes that our dear spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and ourselves, we were very fortunate to take birth in a Vaishnava family and we got training in Vaishnava etiquettes and Siddhanta right from childhood. Sometimes I used to think that how nice would have been if I would have also taken birth in a Vaishnava family and got training like this. Then I get my answer. You should also have one should also have qualification to take birth like that. Right? If people like me take birth in Vaishnava family, it will get destroyed. Parents will get annoyed, in childhood. Very, very great personality. So, great personalities take birth in great personalities' family. And here we see that. And right from childhood, there is no mundane activities, only spiritual activities. In the school days, by the age of 7 years, Bimal Prasad memorized all the 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita. And any verse asked to him, he was able to speak about that verse in principles in accordance with Vaishnava Siddhanta. We also see in our devotee kids, they very beautifully they recite shlokas of Bhagavad Gita and things like that. But this personality, not just reciting, he was giving class on that. And when he was 10 years old, look at the missionary spirit of his father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. See, it makes a lot of difference, you know. Most of you might get into Grihastha Ashram in future, and all the ones who are watching us online, and all the ones who already entered Grihastha Ashram. One thing is very important to note, that when the parents are missionaries, and the child has Sukriti, naturally the child also pulls in that mood of missionary spirit. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's missionary mood was the Bhakti Bhavan that was getting built, and from there they found that Kurmashila. When that entire house was built, he partitioned that house into two. One part he was staying, and in another part it was Vaishnava depository, in which there was library, books, Vaishnava Siddhanta, and there was a printing press which he named it as Sri Chaitanya Yantra. And all the missionary activities will happen from there. Sajjan Toshani, was one of the magazines that he would release, publication that he would release, and from there it would happen. And when his father would be engaged like this, Bimal Prasad would be looking at his father and learning all that. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur was training Bimal Prasad at the age of 7 for what? For all the aspects of printing and publications, which includes editing, proofreading, typesetting, operating the machine. As I said, at the age of 7, I think a KG section they get into at the age of 5 or something. 5 or something, yeah. 6 or 7 is like first standard, where we 1 plus 1 plus 1, 2. Yes. Or no, 5 minus 3, 2. Yes. And here this person, what he is doing, he is editing, proofreading his father's books. If you want to understand how easy are Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books, try to read and try to understand. I am reading one book called Bhakti Alok. One time it's very difficult to understand. At least 2-3 times when I read, then something I understand from that. And that proofreading, this small boy, 7 years old, he is doing. And now see, we're not talking about a time when these laptops were there or desktops were there. It was a time when typewriters were there. And typewriter, it's a complicated stuff. In my childhood, I had seen that it's a complicated stuff to set that properly and then start the work. And here, Bimal Prasad was helping his father to do all these technical works. It is described that Bimal Prasad, he learned all the mechanics of the press also, of the machine, including all the detailed knowledge of various components. और जब भी machine खराब होता था, Bimmo, and Bimmo would come and he would set it right, and the Sri Chaitanya Yantra would work properly. 7 years old boy. When it comes to 7-year kids, they just know to open it, open the toys. Fixing the toy, parents have to do. And look at this, parent is calling the child, beta aake fix kar do to. So in the same age, 10 years old, same age, Bhaktivinoda Thakur would be doing this often. He would take his kids to various dham yatras. And once Bhaktivinoda Thakur took Bimal Prasad and few other kids to visit various pastime places of Lord Chaitanya. And they came to a place, it was late night, it was pitch dark. It was on the outskirts of Kulina Gram. And they stayed in that place. And next day morning, when they were coming from that place into the village, all the villagers, they saw that they're coming from that place. They were all astonished. And the villagers came there and they started asking, "You're coming from that place? That is ghost haunted. At night, the ghost didn't trouble you? The ghost always throws stones and bricks at people and hurts them in various ways." And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, with a calm mind, he said, yeah, it was doing that. I chanted Hare Krishna, it went away. The villagers looking at him. And the villagers then started asking, who are you? And he said, I am Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And at that time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was known for his various writings. And they were very eager to learn from Bhaktivinoda Thakur various different aspects. And at that time, they asked this one question, that Thakur Mahasaya, please tell us, this person who has become the ghost there was actually a pujari in the temple. And he would be chanting Hare Krishna all the time, without any stop. So why did he become a ghost? And that to Brahma Rakshas. So that time Bhaktivinoda Thakur asked them, so how was his activities? What were his activities? And then the villagers said he was doing various activities which are not proper, which is sinful also. So that time Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about Nam Tattva to them and speaks about offenses. And he started saying that he might be chanting Hare Krishna all the time, but this Hare Krishna was just the lip. It was not the actual Nam. It was just lipi and it was not Nam. Why? Because he was chanting Hare Krishna and at the same time he was committing offenses. And therefore, the Mahamantra cannot work for such people. And since he committed various offenses like this, he became Brahma Rakshas. Now the villagers had this query, then how can Brahma Rakshas be delivered? And at that time Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, when a pure devotee of the Lord, when they chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra or read the verses of Bhagavad Gita Bhagavatam, and if the ghost is able to hear that, the ghost will get delivered. And by speaking all this, Bhaktivinoda Thakur left that place. And after this particular incident, the ghost never came, never troubled, and all the villagers got to know who is that pure devotee. Can you imagine when your father is doing all this and you're witnessing all this? It's like a small child, 10 years old. Can you imagine the impression that the child will have? Bhoot ko bhaga rahe, keval Mahamantra bol ke. And then he's speaking the Siddhanta and he's hearing. Can you imagine what sort of samskara this kid might be getting? So in this way, Bhaktisiddhanta or Bimal Prasad at that time, he was observing his father very nicely in various ways. And when it comes to himself, he applied himself to the schooling. He used to go to the school to learn and all that. But he was not at all interested in that. He was always interested to learn from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Not English, maths, etc. But he was very eager to learn from Bhaktivinoda Thakur the books of Jiva Goswami, Shat Sandarbha, and the other books by the other acharyas. Shat Sandarbha, even people who have spent a decade in Krishna consciousness, it's difficult to understand. Jiva Goswami's writings are difficult to understand. And this 10-year-old boy, he's not interested in the ABCD of the school, but he is interested in learning Shat Sandarbha of Jiva Goswami. He is very eager. He would come running to his father and sit with him and learn Jiva Goswami's Shat Sandarbha and other acharyas' writings. When he was 12 years old, he entered Metropolitan Institution in Kolkata to study Sanskrit, grammar and Jyotish. And at that time, even when he was studying all this, his inclination to bhakti never got deviated. All the time he was very much inclined. And he would come from the school and he would run to that Vishwa Vaishnav Sabha, where his father would be giving discourses on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He would get the book for his father. He would sit there and with an ardent heart. He would be an ardent listener and would be hearing very, very attentively. And then he will carry back the book and keep it in the shelf. Everyday activity was this. Very eager to learn, from his father. In this school, since at that time, we had this British rule. So there were Britishers who were there to teach also. British teachers. So one of the teachers' name was Mr. C. Little. He was teaching maths in the school. C. Little. And at one point of time, this particular teacher, just to bully the students there, just to put them down, to make them little, this C. Little would speak and ask questions from Bible. And he would ask question, so what do you all think about teachings of Bible? And one day, a big personality spoke to C little. And what did this big personality, Bimal Prasad, spoke? He spoke very amazing thing. He said, in your scripture, that is Bible, it talks about prayers like, give us our daily bread. This actually resembles the outlook of the Vida Shakyas, because they are the ones who treat the Lord not as the object of devotion, but the object who can become servant of ours and provide what we want. And then he gave a strong philosophy. Lord is not our servant, we are his servant. We have to serve him and not ask from him. So this is what your Bible teaches. Mr. C little was B little in front of everyone. That was the situation. We are talking about 12 years old boy. See, this particular thing which I just spoke, that instead of asking from the Lord and making him our servant, we have to become his servant. This is not an ordinary thing to understand and to realize. And here we see the small boy, he's a realized soul at this age, that I'm supposed to serve Krishna and not make Krishna my servant. In Bhagavad Gita, that verse where Arjuna is instructing, Senayor bhayor madhye ratham sthapay machyuta. So there Prabhupada writes the purport and he talks about the word Govinda. And he says Govinda means the one who satisfies the senses. And here Arjuna wants Krishna to satisfy his senses. And there Prabhupada, he writes that we are meant to satisfy Krishna's senses and not that Krishna should satisfy our senses. This is not proper. And this is the Siddhanta that our Bimal Prasad is speaking here. When he was 13 years old, he started translating. 13 years old. He started translating from Sanskrit to Bengali 2 classical astronomical treatises. The first one was Siddhanta Shiromani and second one was Surya Siddhanta. Now Siddhanta Shiromani he completed and published in 1893. And the next book, that is Surya Siddhanta, he completed in 1896. In 1888 he was 13 years old. So quiz, 1893 he was? 19 years. 1896? 22 years. Now look at this. He started the work. He started the work on Siddhanta Shiromani and Surya Siddhanta. And his work was not even completed. He was just 15 years old. That is 1890. And his tutors who were there in that school, their names were Pandit Mahesh Chandra Chudamani and Pandit Sundarlal. Looking at his work which was not even completed, they were so very much attracted to the work and they were so very great for that work that he was doing, that at that time itself they gave him the title, and the title was Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. At the age of 15 he got this title, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. And the song that we sang, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Sachi Sutta Priyati. So this Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was very, very dear to Lord Chaitanya, is what is sung by our Srila Prabhupada in that song. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. And right from childhood, in fact all our acharyas, but Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, to be more specific, was against Mayavad to the core. सहन नहीं होता था वो, बचपन से ही सहन नहीं होता था. A personality called Pandit Ishwara Chandra Vidyasagar. He was a great Sanskrit scholar and Bhaktivinoda Thakur learned Sanskrit from him. So in one of the discussions, when the question was asked about the nature of Bhagavan, so at that time Pandit Ishwara Chandra Vidyasagar, he said, see, I don't comment on this aspect of Bhagavan because I have never seen him. Now, if I have not seen him and if I describe something and say that is not proper, then I'll have a lot of problem after death. I have to face repercussions. Therefore, what I do is, I speak about normal moral values, conventional moral values of this world, and I don't touch upon these topics. One of the qualities of Sri Siddhanta Saraswati at that time was that whatever books are there in the library, he'll read that and finish it off. And one of the books was of this person. And the book name was Bodhodaya. So when he talked like this, at that time, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he made a comment, and that was a very heavy statement. He said, "You're saying all this, but in your book, Bodhodaya, you said, Ishvara Nirakar Chaitanya Swarup. Why did you say this? It means the Supreme Lord is comprised of consciousness and he is formless." So his question, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati is putting question to this Mayavadi, that if this is the case, that only after seeing you will be able to speak and write, then why did you write this? And then there's a counter question, there is a question. Again he is asking another question. Did you write this after actually seeing him, or did you merely rely on stereotype doctrines? And this person was not able to speak at all. And just imagine, his student Bhaktivinoda Thakur is standing besides. And it is described many times Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to face real situations. Because Bhaktivinoda Thakur at that time, he was making friendship with all the leaders of the society and he was preaching at that level. And Sri Siddhanta Saraswati will go and crush them to powder, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to go and patch at various levels. He was 17 years old when he entered Sanskrit college in Kolkata. This is the college time I'm talking about. Even at that time, one thing which I am able to trace is, never was a time when this great personality got deviated either to becoming a Sanskrit scholar or something like that. Always he was fixed in devotional service. He was there in the Sanskrit college, and more than reading the prescribed books, the prescribed book will be there, and in that book he will have Narottam Das Thakur's 2 books, Prarthana and Prema Bhakti Chandrika. And sometimes he will have Jaydev Goswami's Gita Govind. Sometimes he will have Bilbilo Mangal Thakur's Krishna Karnamrita. And he will keep only pure Sanskrit, no translation, so that no one should understand what he is reading. But there were times when he was caught by some of his relatives, and those relatives gave him tightly, "What are you doing? You're supposed to study. What are you studying like this? These aren't the books you're supposed to study." He would say, "Yes, yes," and they would continue studying. This was attachment. He used to neglect his studies like anything. But even after neglecting his studies to a great extent, he became very proficient in the 6 Vedangas, branches of auxiliary Vedic knowledge. Where various things are there, like Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakrana, Nirukta, Chanda, Jyotisha. He became master in all that. This is called as scholarly attitude of these great personalities. Padhai vadhai kuch nahi karenge, but still they will excel in the studies very nicely. Therefore, we always say, don't imitate these great personalities. क्या बद्ध जीव है हम लोग, हमें material भी करना है, spiritual भी करना है. But they were very one-pointed. करना है तो only spiritual, nothing else I'll do. And during his college time, he started tutoring on Jyotish also. He became tuition teacher for some people. During his college time, he formed a club, a sabha. His attire used to be very simple, right from his college days, right from his school days for that matter, as I already said. He would wear white dhoti and he would wear kurta. Very simple person, lean, very straightforward, very bright look, very effulgent. He formed a sabha, and that was known as August Assembly. And that's in English. In Sanskrit, he named it as Chira Kumar Sabha. And this Chira Kumar Sabha was all about enrolling those boys who are interested to remain brahmachari throughout life. So this was the brahmachari making sabha. And he would enroll people in that. But finally, he was the only person who remained in that sabha. Successfully a brahmachari. So it's very nice to see that even when his father was a grahastha, he was not interested to get into grahastha ashram. But he was very clear, I want to be a renunciant. He was seeing his father, doing so much, such nice bhakti, and it's so great. No, I want to be a renunciant. staunch renunciant, not just a normal, ordinary renunciant. And during his school days, in the school holiday time, I mean these holidays during the college time or school time, he was having special classes on Sanskrit. And during that time, he was learning from a personality during holidays time, from a Pandit whose name was Prithvishwar Sharma. And he would be teaching grammar, Sanskrit grammar. Now, Sanskrit grammar, for your information, it takes a lot of time to learn. To be more specific, 12 years. But our Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he finished in 3 months. And there's something called as Sandhi. I tried learning, it's too difficult. In 3 days, he finished off. And the teacher who was teaching, he said, you shouldn't learn so fast. I took a long time. You should learn so fast. And then he started saying that in various places like Varanasi and other places, people, they spend a lot of time to learn Sanskrit grammar and Sandhi. And by that, spending long time with this, what happens is the person becomes expert, and at the end of life, he attains mukti. And at that time, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, who was just 17 years old, he became really outraged and he said, I reject you. I don't want to become expert. I don't want mukti. I don't want liberation. I am learning Sanskrit only to please Lord Krishna. And I'm sure he didn't go after that to him. I don't want mukti. See, these different principles which our acharyas speak in their purports, we can see that right from their childhood. When it comes to mukti, when it comes to sayujya, they are not interested. Mayavad, they are completely against. Anything going against Vaishnava Siddhanta of asking the Lord for one's own sense gratification, they are against that. No, we are supposed to serve the Lord. Look at these principles right from childhood. And we are trying to sit in Bhagavatam class, we are trying our best, making notes after notes. Same principles. Ghusta hi nahi hai. That's the difference between liberated souls or these Nitya Muktas and Nitya Baddhas like us. That's the difference. But when we get attachment to these Nitya Muktas, we have hope. We have hope of imbibing these different principles of Vaishnava Siddhanta. There was a time, this is the last pastime for today, and the pastime is about how did Sri Siddhanta Saraswati quit his school. That's the pastime. That's the last time he went to college. There was a personality called Pandita Panchanana Sahityacharya. So he was the head of the astronomy department of the Sanskrit college. And he was a proper atheist. And our Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, whenever you would meet him or whenever there's a class going on and this person, a great personality, the head of department is speaking, as soon as he speaks any atheistic thing, very boldly, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati would confront him in front of entire class. And this was almost a daily business. And there was one point of time when this Pandit Panchanana and two more personalities, that is Mahesh Chandra Nyayaratna, who was the head of college principal, and Sri Bapudev Shastri, who was another great personality in the college. So these three people, they came up with an idea that we will revise the astrological chart, astrological calendar. And when they tried doing that and they proposed various things to revise the astrological calendar. So at that time, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he found out various faults in that. He pointed out several mathematical and technical discrepancies in their arguments. And at that time, one of the students of our Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he compiled all that, whatever arguments our Sri Siddhanta Saraswati gave, and then he published it around to others. Now the problem was that they were not able to do that revision, whatever they're thinking about. They wanted to revise that astrological calendar. They were not able to do that. And since this was going rampant, everyone was getting to know this. So finally the principal of the college, he decided that I'll have an open debate with this personality, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. And there's an open debate. Everyone is sitting. Here we have the principal on one side. Here we have a student on the other side. And guess what? Sri Siddhanta Saraswati crushed him to powder with all the arguments. And Sri Siddhanta Saraswati won the debate. And since he won the debate with the principal, he was obliged to leave the college. This was in 1895. He quit the college. He quit the college. And at that time, see, it's a very great disgrace at that time. If someone leaves the college in midway like this. But Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was thinking that this is such a great opportunity for myself. If I complete my college, then I'll have a degree. And then when I have a degree, then people will come with marriage proposal to me. This is not a good thing. Now, since I have quit the college in the mid, people will think that he is foolish. He's a gone case. So no one will come and pull me into this entanglement of marriage. I will be saved. And then he was thinking that, okay, so if I have to take a job for my maintenance, I'll take a simple job and I learn whatever little and I'll focus on devotional service. This is the mood of Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. So in this way, we see that the entire childhood of Saraswati Thakur till the age of 17 and above, till 1895, the only thing that we can see is how right from childhood he was a great devotee. A great devotee. And going forward, various different pastimes which have happened, which we'll cover in the future sessions whenever we have about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that how at various different times, this personality, he did various wonderful activities. And one of the wonderful activity, or one of the greatest activity, which has become the history, is that instruction that he gave to our dear Srila Prabhupada in 1922. Such an amazing instruction. And because of that one instruction, today we have this entire shelter which can give shelter to the entire world. It's called as ISKCON. And we see Srila Prabhupada always, he would express gratitude to this great personality, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. Therefore, one thing on this auspicious day, one thing that we have to meditate on is that I'm so fortunate to get connected to this great sampradaya. And not just one personality like that. We have a series of personalities, the entire parampara. And on this day, we should beg and pray to these great personalities that you are such a great Vaishnav, clear with Vaishnav Siddhanta. I'm a contaminated khichdi fellow. Everything is a khichdi. Yes. Even if someone comes and speaks about Sahajiya aspects, maybe we'll believe that also. Oh, ye bhi acha hai, wo bhi acha hai. Oh, what a class. See, whenever we hear some class also, it's difficult for us to make out ki such hai, proper hai, nahi hai. Right? That is what is the current situation. We should beg and pray to these great personalities that please empower us so that we also get some clarity in our spiritual life. One of the most important thing in the life of a Vaishnava is clarity in spiritual life. Because with that clarity, he can keep proceeding and marching towards Krishna. We can also pray to these great personalities that please empower me so that I can become an instrument in your hands to preach the message of Krishna consciousness and fulfill the prophecy of Lord Chaitanya. Without the empowerment of these great personalities, please remember one thing, that we can never do any service in this mission. Not possible. Only empowered people can empower us. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is not an ordinary personality. He is Nayana Mani Manjari from spiritual world. A very close associate of Srimati Radharani. Those personalities are coming down just so that we get benefited. Those personalities are coming down by their achar. They're setting examples and doing prachar for all of us. Now the only thing that we have to do is, there is a plate full of delicious prasad that is kept. Sirf khana hai usko aur pachana hai. Yes. That's the only thing, nothing else. It's not that we're supposed to cook. They have cooked it very nicely. They're already done, everything is done. The only thing that we have to do is just eat it, relish it, honor it. And you know what? All these acharyas have a very high expectation from all of us because we have got connected to Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara. And that high expectation is every single devotee connected to this parampara are expected to become pure devotees of Lord Chaitanya. No compromise on this. Pure devotee of Lord Chaitanya. And one of the statements of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is, finish your Krishna consciousness business in this life. This is one of the instructions that is there. So when we try to fulfill these instructions, or at least endeavor to fulfill these instructions, we will see that these great personalities will be very pleased with us. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted to please Lord Chaitanya and the previous acharyas. Like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted to please Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Like Prabhupada wanted to please Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Similarly, it's our responsibility that we work towards pleasing these great acharyas in the line. And as I already made a statement, as already said, that spiritual life is all about living for some spiritual personality. If we are not living our life for some spiritual personality, if we don't have attachment to some spiritual personality in the parampara, we cannot advance in spiritual life. Because our mind will trick and will degrade in our devotional service. So with this, I would like to pause here. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki